Okay, welcome to another event for the Nomadic Network. We are talking about the Balkans today, one of my favorite parts of the world. So I'm going to run through a few slides so that give you some updates for the Nomadic Network, and then we'll get into the information. So give me one moment to get everything organized and share my screen. Screen one. Great. Okay, I think you can all see this now.
Yes.
Perfect. Nomadic Network, virtual events. Here we are. Community of travelers inspiring each other to see the world. Originally founded by Nomadic Matt and then taken over by Lisa Field, who has been running it since, I feel like it's been since the summer of 2024 now. That's crazy. We have hosted more than 250 virtual events. I need to update that number because it's definitely way more than that. Website, thenomadicnetwork.com. And all of our 2026 tour dates are live. And we are hard at work on 2027. And there are a couple pretty epic ones that I'm like, I want the first spot, please. So stay tuned for that. Uh, our community tours are pretty incredible. We did six last year to places like India. That one we're doing again this year. India, Vietnam, Peru, Morocco. Uh, and this year we've got some new ones like the Balkans on the list. So check those out. You can follow us online. Instagram is just the nomadic.network on Instagram. We do have the YouTube channel. All of these presentations go onto the YouTube channel, totally free. You can rewatch anytime. There's a ton of really good stuff in the archives too. So check it out, dig in. Register for virtual events. We are doing quarterly happy hours and quarterly learning events for now. We may do more. And then, of course, we'd love to see you on a tour. So, uh, love to see your faces. And so, if you are comfortable having your video on, please do just stay muted and you can use the chat to connect with each other. Since I am hosting and presenting, if you would make sure and type a big, bold question if you've got a question, so that when I go back through the chat, I will be able to find them. And since we have a small group today, I think it will be easy enough to just pop on and ask your question. So, uh, all of our speakers do this as volunteers. So, connect with them when you can. And now let's get to the learning. Okay, so now I'm gonna stop that share. And now I'm gonna share a different screen. So one moment, please. Okay. Yep, you should be able to see this. Perfect. We are going to talk about the Balkans today. I'm so excited about this. So this is all about everything you need to know in order to have a great trip and to plan your time. Also, in the replay email, I will send out a PDF of these slides, and it does have live links, so you don't have to write all of the things down. You will get that in the email a little bit later. And if you're watching the replay, um, I'll leave a link there for that as well. So let's get into it. My plan for you today is once you leave, you will know what makes the Balkans worth exploring, why this is such a wonderful part of the world, the essentials for planning your time in the region. I do have some information about digital nomad visas, some interesting off the beaten path spots, and then what to expect as a traveler. If you have traveled much of Western Europe, this is a little bit different. So we're going to talk about that. Who I am, Annie Sisson. I use Slade as my pen name just because nobody can ever say or pronounce, spell, or remember my actual last name. So I am the Chief Exploration Officer at Explorer Annie. I consider myself a joyful rebel and a multi-potentialite, which is one of those humans who just can't do one thing. So home base is now Olympia, Washington. I have been location independent since 2019. I have visited somewhere in the range of 40 countries. I don't really keep track, but I've done 5 different trips to the Balkans and am going to hopefully be taking another one this fall. So, uh, what I do, travel writing, teaching, and consulting for independent travelers, those people who really don't want big bus tours or cruise ships, want to do it on their own and find kind of the off the beat path stuff and create an experience that's what you want, not a generic kind of out of the box sort of thing. I also am an intentional living guide. I am the community manager for TNN, and I'm also an astrologer. So, like I said, multi-potentialite, all sorts of different things. You can find me at explorerannie.com or on Substack. I write at the Explorer's Log. So now let's talk about the Balkans. Okay, first, let's put it on the map. Where are the Balkans? Which countries does this include? So this is the Balkan Peninsula, the southeastern part of Europe. It includes the countries that were once upon a time former Yugoslavia, so Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, uh, and Montenegro, Serbia, and Kosovo. Albania has always been its own thing. And then we have Greece and North Macedonia, Romania, Bulgaria, and the European part of Turkey. So actually quite a few countries condensed in this region, uh, each of them with a unique flavor, but then you can also kind of see the through lines as you travel around. So uh, let's talk about the history and culture. So, what makes this part of Europe so incredibly interesting is that it really was this crossroad of empires, right? Between the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire. This was kind of the place where, I mean, there were clashes, but there was a lot of overlap. And as you travel through the region, you can absolutely see the influences of both, which is a fascinating contrast. One of my favorites is in Sarajevo in Bosnia Herzegovina. There is literally a street where on one side it looks very much like Turkish bazaar, what I imagine Istanbul looked like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And then you cross the street, and then it looks very much like Austro-Hungarian European architecture. Uh, just absolutely fascinating. For those of us in the Western world, the Balkans were behind the Iron Curtain for the entire time I was growing up. And so there was kind of a mystery, right? This was not a place we got to see a lot of, certainly not in positive lights, right? There was a lot of conflict and that sort of thing. So with the fall of communism, but modern life is, uh, I mean, they're catching up. They've rebuilt what a resilient, beautiful cultures. So there are, like I said, you'll see the through lines as you travel around. There are similarities, but there are also some very clear differences from one country to another. So it is really a fascinating place. So why the Balkans should be on your list. The nature. This There are some incredibly beautiful spots. Like I still say, hands down, Slovenia is one of the most beautiful countries I have visited so far. Totally took me by surprise. The culture, again, like I said, it's this fascinating mix of influences, a ton of really, really interesting history. Um, some of it is a little heartbreaking. A lot of it is, I mean, it's just fascinating. And I'm always going to talk about the food. So this, there is, oh my gosh, so much good food to be had in the Balkans. Uh, I, it makes my mouth water just thinking about it. We will talk a little bit more about this later on. But the best part are the people. They are so incredibly warm and welcoming. Uh, Hands down, the most hospitable place region in Europe that I have visited, 100%. So, okay, so what to expect while you're there? So, the wonderful news is this part of the world, this part of Europe is much cheaper than all the rest of it. Uh, I mean, it's probably at my last visit, at least like maybe like a quarter of what you would spend in Norway or Iceland. Um, you know, it's like the further east you go, things get a little bit cheaper, but then as you start getting into this area, prices, I mean, my last stay, I rented little apartments in Albania, and I don't think I spent more than like $25 a night. And now I know, yeah, I mean, like my own place. And I mean, prices, inflation, prices may have gone up a little bit, but I mean, it's compared to I'm currently booking a trip to the UK and lamenting that it is not Balkan prices. So budget, and this varies obviously a little bit. Croatia is the most expensive because it's the most heavily touristed. But even with that, in Dubrovnik, it was still, I mean, I again had a little just private room it was like a guest house. And it was still, I mean, I think 35, maybe $40 a night in like one of the biggest tourist cities in the region. So it's still very affordable compared to like going to Venice or a similar city. So getting there can be a little bit tricky. I mean, there are a couple of hubs like and Bucharest. Belgrade is in Serbia, Bucharest in Romania, are some of the larger airports, but a lot of times, like if you're flying, especially if you're flying from the United States, you're gonna have a connection, usually through London. Surprisingly, Austria has a lot of connections into the Balkans. And Istanbul actually has a lot of connections. Um, One great website for seeing kind of what flights go into each airport is flightconnections.com, just FYI. So getting there, you're probably going to have a layover somewhere if you're flying directly there. Getting around. So if you are a European traveler, you are probably used to plenty of trains, and the Balkans, that's not so much of a thing. I mean, there's some in to some of the major cities, but bus is really the best way to get around. And the buses are like the big, comfortable, they're nice and comfortable. I've also taken some that are like the kind of like the 16-seater passenger vans. But the best way to get around and to the most places is actually by bus. And it's very, very cheap. I think the bus ticket, uh, my last trip, I took a bus from Tirana in Albania to um, Podgorica in Montenegro, and I think it cost me, I don't know, 15, maybe $20. So it's very reasonable, but it does take a little bit of time. This region actually has a lot of mountains. I know that's what Switzerland is known for, but Albania is one of the most mountainous countries on the continent. And so just know that getting around takes a little bit of time because we are not talking about super highways. We are talking about a lot of two-lane roads, and we are going up and over mountains. And this is uh, it just takes more time. And so you just plan for that, okay, you're not going to, it's not a 4-hour train ride to cross 3 countries. You're going to be spending a little bit more time. And so just being aware of that and kind of mapping your itinerary accordingly so that you're not spending all day in a car or a bus. Uh, Places to stay, there are a lot of great options. I mean, there are plenty of traditional hotels. There are also really a lot of like self-catering apartments. whether studios or a single bedroom. I have found, I mean, that's what I typically do when I visit that part of the world is self-catering apartments. I have done camping in like Slovenia and even parts of Croatia, but once I got into Bosnia, it was just, I mean, it was as cheap to get a bed in a hostel as it was to camp. And then honestly, depending on where you are, getting your own apartment isn't even that much more expensive. So there are a lot of different options. Um, the climate, you can find kind of whatever you want. I personally do not love the heat, so I am not going to be, baking myself in the sun on the beach. So instead, I will go to the mountains. So there's everything from beautiful, beautiful beaches. Like everybody talks about Croatia, but y'all, Albania, the Albanian Riviera, the beaches are gorgeous, and it's probably half the price even of Croatia. Does not get the same kind of press. Um, but yeah, so there's I mean, climate is widely variable. Shoulder seasons are really lovely, but know that in the more mountainous areas, you are going to have, more snow and cold. Like there are ski resorts in Montenegro and even in Bosnia, like there's full on alpine skiing, and then you've got beachfront, so forests, and just take your pick. It is all available in the Balkans. Um, Cities also plenty, if you like the city life, there are a lot of really interesting cities. Um, you know, Belgrade is one of the larger, more popular city destinations. Also, Bucharest, though personally, I preferred the rest of Romania to the city. Um, and then there's lots of cute little smaller towns too. Tirana was one of my favorite cities. So you can definitely get the city life where you've got more amenities and more activities and events and all of that sort of thing. And then the countryside is right there. These are not big, sprawling metropolis. These are even the big cities are much smaller than like a London or a Paris, Amsterdam. So it still has that city feel, but it's very, very easy to get outside of the hustle and bustle. I mean, yeah, most of these countries have one, maybe two large cities, and everything else is countryside. Uh, Shopping, so many wonderful markets, bazaars, places to find, handmade items. I love the fresh produce. Like the stone fruits in the Balkans are second to none. Some of the best cherries and peaches, and oh my gosh. So yeah, lots of great opportunities to pick up little trinkets, enjoy fresh ingredients, that sort of thing. And then what to expect as far as time. So time works a little bit differently in the Balkans. Uh, I mean, I think about like the Scandinavians and the Germans, where everything is very much on time. If the train says it's leaving at 9:30, you can pretty much count on it leaving at 9:30. Time is a little more flexible in the Balkans. If the bus says it's leaving at 9:30, it will probably leave before 10, but you know, your driver may decide to stop on the side of the highway and have a snack and a cigarette. Like that's just kind of, you just roll with it. So, one of the things to note as a traveler is not to book back to back kind of time sensitive things. You definitely want to give yourself some more space and be patient that, yeah, things might run late because, and we'll talk more about the culture. At first, this was one of those things that I was like, I really didn't understand why, like the tour said it started at this time. Why are we not leaving? Where is the tour person? Um, but they have other priorities. Time being right on time is not at the top of the list, uh, which I now very much appreciate and embrace while I'm there. And it gives us an opportunity to also lighten up a little bit and take and slow down. So that's kind of the high level of what to think about as a traveler in the region. So now let's talk about some of the specific places to go. So, city life. So, if you are a city lover, you want the culture, the arts, the events, music, and all of the hustle and bustle. Top five. These are my recommendations. Belgrade is one of the bigger, more popular cities in the region with a lot of history, a lot of culture. Uh, Ljubljana was a delightful surprise. I wasn't really sure what to expect. Um, Very, very European feel, like typical, like Austrian, you know, that kind of vibe, but really lovely, beautiful. I mean, surrounded by nature, castle, I mean, all of the things. Um, Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina is probably my personal favorite in the region. I just have absolutely fallen in love with this city and have been back many, many times and will go back again many, many times. Um, it is just it's impossible to put into words the magic that is this city. It has been through so much. I mean, if you were around in the 90s and um, there's just and there's so much cross-cultural between European and Ottoman, that Turkish vibe. It's really lovely. Skopje in North Macedonia uh, is known for all of its like over-the-top weird statues all over the city. So this is another one, and this is definitely off the beaten path. Skopje is not a major tourist destination yet. Like Belgrade and Ljubljana are a little more popular, but these last three are are not. And Tirana, Albania, I really also fell in love with. It's a smaller city, but has a lot of that kind of Turkish influence. But it is just the people are wonderful. There's a lot to do. Great, culture and food and such friendly people. Uh, it's just the right size of city. There's plenty to do without being like overwhelmed and huge. It's very walkable, all of that. So those are my top five for cities. Nature. Oh man. I think I put these in alphabetical order because I couldn't pick a top. Like I said about Albania, like beaches that will rival Croatia's all day long and also so many mountains. Like there are very popular treks, multi-day treks if you are an outdoor enthusiast. Croatia, one of the places that is in my top most beautiful places I've ever been is the Plitvice Lakes National Park. You, I guarantee you, it's this picture over here. You have probably seen pictures of those like gorgeous turquoise waterfalls. It really looks like that. It's so beautiful. Um, Montenegro, I was really surprised. Montenegro, I feel like has a lot of everything. It's got beautiful beaches. Like Kotor is like a much smaller port city like Dubrovnik with the old medieval walls. And then, I mean, not even 2 hour drive later, you are in the mountains. There's ski resorts, like hiking trails. So beautiful. Same Romania. Most people go to Romania for like Transylvania, right? The big mountains, which absolutely lovely, gorgeous. Uh, Fun fact, Romania also has a chunk of beach on the Black Sea, which was, I mean, now it's probably been almost a decade. Wow, really? Since uh but beachfront hotel was like $25 a night. Um So, and then Romaine, this was one of my favorites. Uh, The Danube Delta, where the Danube River empties into the Black Sea, is in Romania. It's the world's largest reed bed. This is a UNESCO site. If you are a birder, if you like, this place is incredible. Uh, I once upon a time saw a National Geographic photo essay on the Danube Delta, and I was like, I have to go there. Stunning. Like, there are no tourists, or so very few, and the ones who go are regional. I was absolutely blown away. And Slovenia, again, one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen. You are probably familiar with Lake Bled, if you saw pictures of that. But there are, I mean, the Julian Alps, it's just stunning. So I cannot say enough about the nature in the Balkans. It totally blew me away. Was not at all what I was expecting. Okay, and then some off the beaten path spots. That, these are not at the top of the tourist list. This is not where everybody's going, planning their 2026 trips for this year. Albania and Bosnia-Herzegovina are two of my absolute favorites. The people are so, so warm and welcoming, helpful, lovely. Yeah, you can't go wrong. Everybody is so willing to like share what they know. They're so excited. Like, why are you here? What brought you to our part of the world? They want to know about you. They want to share their homeland. It's so lovely. Kosovo, I have a good friend who she's now spending a whole year in Kosovo, but she fell in love with Kosovo the way I fell in love with Bosnia. And just, I mean, that same goes back over and over again. Um, and then North Macedonia, there's also, this is, and I feel like it's a sleeper. It's up and coming, but people are not really paying attention to these places yet. So go go before everybody else figures out how great they are. These are wonderful. I'm a big fan of taking a road trip. If you are comfortable driving in foreign countries, uh, the driving, sometimes the rules tend to be more of suggestions, but speed limits are low, and it's really, I mean, if you're comfortable driving in the United States, uh, you'll be fine. Everybody pays attention, you know. Uh, and what I mean about guidelines being suggestions is like it's not unusual to see a car kind of half on the road with its flashers on in front of a store. Like, I'm just gonna run in and grab a few things. You can go around. Okay, that's fine. Um, but it's really actually fun, and it's a great way to really get off the beaten path. Um, and then ask the locals. All of them, not all, but so many of my favorite things have come from just asking other people, like, what should I see? What else should I see in your country? And they get so excited, like, oh, you're spending more time, you should see this. And uh, I have never been disappointed by taking that advice. So those are some of the off the beaten path spots. And then my personal favorites, like I mentioned, Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the Danube Delta in Romania. And so Slovenia is very much known for Lake Bled, but like 20 minutes away is Lake Bohinj, that is basically empty of tourists, equally gorgeous, surrounded by mountains. Unbelievable. Plitvice Lakes National Park in Croatia, Tirana, Albania for a city. And then Dermitor National Park in Montenegro is one that's up in the mountains. In the winter, there is skiing. In the summer, there's all sorts of outdoor activities. Hiking, the largest, I think it's the deepest canyon in Europe is there. There's rafting. There's all sorts of adventure activities that, yep, I only found out about this from somebody telling me, oh, yeah, you should go check this out. Great. Same with Lake Bohinj. Some woman at the campground at Lake Bled was like, hey, 20 minutes away, there's this other spot. And I ended up going and spending like 3 nights there because it was so lovely. And so then a quick little bit about digital nomad visas. One of the things that the Balkans is up and coming is because, if you have a remote job, this is a part of the world where you can live for a reasonable price and that they want you to come and stay and spend money in their economy and all of that. So Albania has a 1 year, and the requirement is you only have to make $10,000 a year to get that visa. Uh, Bulgaria also has a 1 year visa with that. And so these are the income requirements in order to qualify, $2,500 a month. Croatia, you can get up to a 1 year visa. Uh, Montenegro is 2 years. They have not yet decided what the income level is. North Macedonia is working on one. Romania has a 1 year with a little bit higher requirement of $3,900 monthly. And then Serbia is a 1 year digital nomad visa also. So nearly all of the countries in the Balkans are working on digital nomad visas so that you can stay more than the 90 days, right? Like the Schengen visa for Europe kind of caps you at 90 days. And most of these countries are outside of the Schengen zone. And so you can hop over here, run out whatever other time, and go back to Europe without having to like cross an ocean if you are a long-term traveler. My favorite resources for booking and finding information about the Balkans, booking.com hands down has been the best for me for booking accommodations, including apartments. This seems to be where most people rent, put their even self-catering apartments. And then they usually communicate via WhatsApp as far as how to get into your place and send you all the information. And it's been very easy uh, to use. So Lonely Planet has a lot of good information because these are a little more off the beaten path. And, like Rick Steves doesn't really cover the Balkans too much, though I do love him. This is a part of the world where he hasn't spent a lot of time yet, right? So it can be a little bit harder to find good information that's outside of travel blogs. And Chasing the Donkey is my exception. This is a travel blog, but it is very much focused specifically on the Balkans. I believe she and her family live in Croatia. Anyway, tons of great information about the region. I love that one. Atlas Obscura is always a favorite for finding random, funky, weird, all sorts of fun things. Balkan Lunchbox is a great place to find out more about the regional food. And it's one that I use because I like to recreate dishes from my travels. There's also a bunch of great recipes. Visit Europe, the tourism board for the European continent. And then obviously local tourism boards. I often will just either the city or the country just search for, Albania tourism board, and it will take you to the like visit Albania, whatever that country's kind of tourism board is. And you can find a ton of great information about off the beaten path spots. They highlight different regions, so you get a really clear idea of what to see there. Usually they have recommendations for accommodations, that sort of thing. So, and then for buses, I didn't put this one on here. Get by Bus has been the one I've used, but I think they may have changed their name. But most of the bus companies are local, so it's really easy to find. Most of them, you just go to the bus station in the morning and buy your ticket and go. So very, very easy. And to cross borders. I've taken the bus across the border. You stop, you get out, they stamp your passport, everybody gets back on. It's very easy, not a big hassle. So that's one way to easily get from one country to the other. And that's it for today. So not too bad on time. Great. So this is just a little about where you can find me. Would love to connect with you. Again, website explorerandy.com, Substack, The Explorer's Log, Instagram. I'm not really social mediaing much these days, but that's where you can find me. And I do have some free stuff for you. So, like I said, I will include these slides. I created this how to choose your destination guide to because at least for me, the hardest part of planning any trip is where do I go next? Because there's so much I want to see. Where do I want to go on this trip? So I have put together a little bit of a fun process to help you figure out the best option for your next trip. And you can use it over and over again for all of your trips. And I just started, if you're not traveling as much, I'm also a big fan of finding ways to explore at home. And so I just started what I'm calling the Everyday Adventure Experiment, where it's a little bit of a personal challenge to have new experiences right in your own backyard. So you can join me there. And I believe that is all the things. So I am going to stop sharing and open it up for questions.
So, Annie, it looks like you're also leading the Balkans tour for TNN.
I am.
Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Sure. Yes. So I helped to create the itinerary. So it's going from Albania, from Tirana to Zagreb in Croatia. Uh, I have to refresh my memory. I think we're spending there's a couple nights in Tirana and then another stop or two in Albania. So we're spending like four four nights. Let me pull it up because now I am trying to remember the details. Uh, we will go through Montenegro. We're going to spend a night in or two around Kotor. And then from Kotor, I'm trying to remember if we go into Bosnia next or Croatia. So yes, we have Tirana, a couple days, and then Berat in Albania. Uh, excuse me, and then near Shkodra, which is a lovely little town. We spend some time there. And then, yes, near Kotor and Budva in Montenegro. And oh, that's right, I did work in Dermitor National Park that I mentioned because I was like, that's so cool, and nobody goes there. We need to do that. So there's two nights there to go, and it's just this little tiny mountain town, but it's so beautiful. So there is and then from there, we go to Sarajevo. And my request was at least we've got a couple nights in Sarajevo, two or three, because that's my favorite. I'm like, no, we need to spend a minute there. Yeah, that's not one of those places you want to just rush through. So there are, oops, a few nights in Sarajevo. Um, Sorry, my desk is just like having a mind of its own. It's fine. And then we do make a stop in Mostar, which is where the old bridge. That's when most people go to Bosnia. That's where they go is Mostar. That's the old bridge at the border of Croatia. Also a really lovely town. Smaller than Sarajevo, little markets. That one's going to be a lovely little trip. And then there is my I don't speak Bosnian very well. But there is a spot like right on uh like the water that's just this gorgeous little villa, this monastery that we're gonna make a stop there. And then we go into Croatia. Um oh, what happened there? Why did that? Yes. I think yes, we're going to Split. We are not going to Dubrovnik. So we're going to spend a couple nights in Split, and then we are going to Plitvice Lakes National Park because that was a request too. Um, and I've also made it so that we will be so we'll drive from Split to near the national park in the evening so that because it can get real busy that national park. And so I've set it up so that we can be there early before all of the crowds
Mhm.
get there because when I stayed, that's what I did. I just got up and like went there first thing in the morning, had the place basically to myself. But then by the time I like came out and was ready to go, it was like single file walking through. So I've tried to organize this so that we get the highlights and also avoid, you know, any of the busiest parts. And then from there, we go to Zagreb. And fun fact, I've not been to Zagreb yet. I've driven through it. So I'm excited to get to explore some of that for the first time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Does
I'm
that,
coming, but I'm not, I'm just coming just me, obviously.
yeah. You are?
Yes, I'm coming.
Yay.
Yay.
It's gonna be so good. Yeah, I really hope we get a good crew. I'm excited about this one. I would love for this one to be one that we get to do every year, but yeah, we'll see what the interest is. And this, obviously is a highlight. The tour is a very much a highlight reel. If I were going on my own, I wouldn't move that quickly. But this is I wanted to share some of the most interesting parts and also get off the beaten path. And in order to do that, you know, most people don't have a month to spend on a trip. So it was one of those like, how do I work in the best stuff in a shorter amount of time? So yes, it's moving faster than I would if it were just me by myself. But I feel like it's a really good balance of we're going to see the things and we're going to get to spend some time without feeling like we're just like running through it all. And we will have a local guide. Like it won't just be me. We have a local guide who knows like knows the region inside and out. And then I will be there as your TNN guide to, you know, share it from the traveler's perspective.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. What else? What else do you guys want to know about the Balkans? Things I will tell you that I did not, I only have so much time in the presentation. Uh, things to note in most places, smoking is still allowed indoors. Like that's that's really a concern for a lot of people. So I'm like, let's just make sure
I
everybody knows
know, I'm just
that.
laughing about Paris and how long
Oh
it
yeah,
took them.
yeah, the Balkans are still not there. They're nope. That like when that time of year, the weather should still be good. I mean, we might get some rain, but their cafe culture is the thing. There's outdoor seating like pretty much everywhere. So there is that so that you unless the weather is really terrible that you can sit outside. Um
Do they have the heaters? Like I remember when we were in Prague in November, we still had our coffee outside like every day. They just have these little heaters under the tables and people are sit out like all year
yeah.
round.
I mean, yes, there is some of that like in Sarajevo. Um when I was in Albania, it wasn't cold enough. So that was not a thing, so I didn't really notice, but some of the places do have heaters, but that time of year it should be the sweet spot that it's not high tourist season, but it isn't like fully fall yet. It should still be like my trip to Albania was in yeah, mid-November and it was still like 75, 80 degrees.
Oh wow.
So that's what I mean. But then we are going to be going up into the mountains. So there will be some variety. So yeah, but just know that also, the cuisine tends to be pretty meat heavy. So if you are a vegetarian, I mean, there are options, but just know that, yeah, the cuisine does tend to be pretty meaty. Yeah, but it's delicious. Like yeah, oh, so good. And and the parts where we're going are a lot more Turkish influence, like particularly Albania and Bosnia, are a lot more Turkish style dishes. Um, Croatia is a fascinating mix of that cuisine plus Italian because it's just across the water. So you get, swear to God, some of the best pizza I had was in Albania, like ever. Um, so yeah, along the coast, there's kind of that definitely European. You can see the mix. Uh, but just so you know, what else? What other questions do we have?
I have a question. Sorry, I don't have my camera on. I'm having internet slow over here. But for language wise, like I know it's not as touristy. So if you go kind of in the remote areas, is it hard to find English speaking or is that pretty common?
That's a great question. I did not talk about that. Thank you. Uh, I have not had any trouble. Most people, especially younger, if you're not sure, find one of the younger folks. They all speak English
Mm.
really well. Um, for the most part, that's never been really a problem because we're going, there's still enough tourism that people speak English because how many people speak Albanian, right? So uh, if they speak a second language, it's typically English and where we're going, and we'll have a local guide. But if you're traveling on your own, I've never had a problem. Usually they speak enough English, and if not, you'd be amazed at how much you can communicate with some pointing and, that kind of thing. But um, it's never been an issue.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sometimes, I've had to get creative, but I've always managed to get everything taken care of how I need, when I need. So usually,
Yeah. And then like the lettering is like Cyrillic, right? In most places that or what
no,
do you use?
well, most of it is Latin script.
Oh,
And Serbia is Cyrillic, Bulgaria is Cyrillic. I'm trying to remember. I think North Macedonia is, I think North Macedonia is Latin script. Romania is, so it's Serbia and Bulgaria are Cyrillic, but
okay.
otherwise, um, and Bosnia, actually, most of the signs are in both because there's a lot of Serbian population.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions? Covered all the things you want to know? Awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Just one other thing. You mentioned that the majority of travel is via bus. Is that pretty much what will happen on the tour as well?
Yeah, we have a small, like the 16 person, like the small little like sprinter style. I mean, I don't know what actual, but yeah, so it's a very small, it's the smaller. It's not going to be the big,
Like coach bus sort of thing.
yeah. But if you're traveling on your own, a lot of them are like the public buses are those big, comfortable coach buses.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Well then, let me wrap up with my last few TNN slides and then I think then we will be done right on time. Okay, great. Yay. Oops. Oh, went the wrong way. One moment, please. Let me go back.
Oh, please.
One moment, please. There we are. Upcoming events. So we do have our community happy hour next month. This is just a very super casual, come hang out, talk about travel. You know, it's always a good time. And we are putting together our April event is going to be how Americans can move to Europe because that tends to be a popular topic these days. Uh, and so then upcoming community tours, the India tour, I'm pretty sure that is booked up. That leaves in just a few weeks. I can't remember if there's still room on the Vietnam tour if you're looking to do something very soon. And then obviously, we are going to the Balkans in September. And that tour starts the middle of September. I think it's the 14th or 15th. But obviously, I would love to see you there, and we're going to have a great time. And then thank you, as always, for being here and being part of this community. I mean, we couldn't do this without you. And I'm so always so very grateful that we have a place where us travel loving humans can come together and share this passion that we have. So I'm going to stop recording.